Hey guys, this is lesson 113, and we're going to kind of jump around this lesson, but really it's about graphing negative rational numbers. Let's say you had a fraction strip that had eighths, and on one side it counted up to 2, and the other side it counted down to -2. And really we're looking at how are those two sides apart, or how are they alike and how are they different? And really, one is a positive side and one is a negative side, but really they mirror each other. So you can see that one is counting up and one is kind of counting down in a ways. So if you look at the below here, it does just that. And I counted, and there's 8 openings here. And so really this is counting down. So we can put -1/8, -2/8, -3/8. And really, this is to show that with negatives, they count down as opposed to kind of counting up. So the further we get away from 0, the higher the number goes in the numerator per se. So how do we know -7/8 is closer to -1 than it is to 0? Well, if you go 7/8 away from 0, you're close to 1. So -7/8 is actually very close to -1. So that's how you can kind of tell that. Scrolling down a little further, we also have vertical number lines. And if you look at this one, it goes from 0 to -1. We can find 1/3 would be here, because we can kind of pretend if it's 0 to 1, 1/3 would be there. So -3 is there. Okay. Moving further down, 3 says plot the pairs on a folded number line. Then fold the number line in half exactly in the middle of 0. What do you notice? Well, this is supposed to show you that they mirror each other again. That -2 and 2 end up being in the same spot if you fold it at 0. So they're very similar. They're just kind of opposite of each other. And that's kind of a point of negative numbers, is to recognize that they're opposite from each other. We're going to practice this on the next page. So if you flip to 46, more questions here. Says, what number is the same distance from 0 as 1.5? Well, on the opposite side of 0, we would find -1.5. And that didn't show up perfectly, but it's -1.5. That looks a little bit better. What number is the same distance from 0 as -4? Well, on the opposite side, it would be 4. So opposite, what an opposite is a number that is the same distance from 0 in the opposite direction. So same distance from 0. And how to find that number? Well, really, you just go the same distance from 0, but on the opposite side. So very similar as an answer, but now you're just going the same distance from 0. Why is 0 a special case? Well, that's because it is right in the middle, and there is no opposite of the middle. So now we're just going to go through and give the opposite of each of these numbers, and kind of go through what they would be. So the opposite of 3 is -3. Opposite of -5 is 5. -3/4, 2, -1/3, and 4.5. Then you can plot those on these dots. And this, if you want to pause the video, I can kind of go through there. -3, 5, -3/4, 4.5, -1/3, and 2 would kind of go in those respected places. The opposite of a positive is a negative. Opposite of a negative is a positive. And the opposite of 0 is neither. Then on our final page here, what we're going to do is just write in the number for each of these, and then label them on the graph. So this first one is below sea level. So I'm going to put -10,911. And at -10,911, I'm going to plot a point there and label it B. So then you can do that for the rest of the answers there. So then we can move to C, where it's above sea level. So this would be 5,610. And we can graph that. If I pull her down here, these are counting by thousands. So it's kind of in there. I can label that C. 640 above. So that would be somewhere in there, D. And if you want to pause this and do the rest on your own and then check your answers, but I'm going to go through the rest of them. 2,555 below sea level will be somewhere right in there. 418 below would be somewhere in there. And 4,884 above would be in there. So then you can kind of see, just make sure they're in the right order, C, G, D, F, E, B for that. So then come up with a situation that has both positive and negative numbers. Choose one negative point and one positive point. Describe what they mean and describe what 0 means. So you can use sea level kind of like above. You could use a different example that we talked about the other day, whether it be temperature, money, weather, sea level, etc. So there you go. I don't think, if we look at the next page, here's your math boxes and you're good to go.